lecture, let us discuss about sentiment analysis. We already know that it's a popular task in natural language processing. So, what is the goal of sentiment analysis? So, here the main goal is to classify the given text based on the mood or mentality expressed in the text. So, here mentality means it can be either positive, negative, or neutral. And it mainly focuses not only on polarity like positive, negative, or neutral, but also on emotions like happy, sad, angry, etc. So it uses various natural language processing algorithms like rule based, automatic, and hybrid approaches. So, what is its significance and how do organizations benefit from it? So let us try to take one scenario. Assume that you start a company that sells perfumes on an online platform. You put up a wide range of fragrances out there, and soon customers start flooding in. After some time, you decide to change the price strategy of perfumes. You plan to increase the prices of the popular fragrances and at the same time offer discounts on unpopular ones. So this is a business strategy, right? So the products which are having high demand obviously will increase the prices for those products. Whereas if the product is having very less demand, very low demand, then in that case we'll try to offer some discounts in order to sell them. So in order to determine which fragrances are popular, you start going through customer reviews of all the fragrances. So they are just so many that you cannot go through them in one lifetime. Like there's thousands of reviews. So is it possible to go through all the reviews? Definitely no, right? So this is where sentiment analysis is important. So how can we use this sentiment analysis here? So you just simply gather all the reviews in one place and apply sentiment analysis to it. So let us take this picture. Here you can see this is a schematic representation of sentiment analysis of three different fragrances of perfumes, that is lavender, rose, and lemon. Now, if you see this fragrance one, here based on the reviews, we can say that it comes under positive category because it has highly positive reviews, which indicates that your company can increase price of this perfume as it is having more demand. And if you take the second fragrance, that is rose, here there is a neutral outlook among the customer, which means your company should not change its pricing. So as it is having neutral outlook, you need to maintain the same prices. And coming to the third review. So here there is a negative sentiment, right? So in the third case, we have negative sentiment like absolute waste of money and terrible smell. So your company should consider, so you need to offer some discounts on it in order to balance the scales or in order to sell it. So based on the text in three different scenarios, in the first scenario, as it is having all the positive reviews, it is classified as positive. So 81% of the people, they are satisfied with the product. And here in review, neutral one, so we got 88%. So you need to maintain stable prices. Whereas in the third case, if it is lemon, 91% of the people, they are not interested in this fragrance. So this is considered as a negative sentiment. Okay, so let us see the working process of sentiment analysis. First, we are taking text input. So the process, it always begins with input of the text data. It can be either a social media post or customer reviews, or it can be news articles or any other textual content. And second one is pre-processing. So before analyzing the text, it should undergo pre-processing steps. So what are the steps here? It can be like tokenization, where we'll break the text into individual words or phrases. Then remove the stop words, so common words like and, the, etc. And then stemming or lemmatization should be performed, where we'll reduce the word to their base form. And after that, feature extraction is done. So here, features can include word frequencies or n-grams, where sequence of adjacent words will be considered in n-grams, or it can be even syntactic and semantic structures. And then sentiment classification. So here, based on the features which we extracted in the previous phase. Okay, so these features, they are used as input into the machine learning model. For sentiment classification, so there are several approaches to sentiment classification. Like you can use any approach, like lexicon based approach. So if it is a lexicon one, sentiment scores are assigned to words in lexicon, that is dictionary, based on their polarity. The polarity here means it can be positive, negative, or neutral. And then the sentiment scores of individual words are aggregated in order to determine overall sentiment of the text. If you take second category, that is machine learning approach, so you can use support vector machine, logistic regression, or any other deep learning models like RNNs or transformers. Okay, so all of them, they are trained on the label data in order to classify the text into sentiment categories. And after that, you can even go through hybrid approach, which actually combines both the lexicon based and machine learning approach. Then sentiment output. After classification, sentiment analysis system, it outputs the sentiment polarity of the text, indicating whether the given text is a positive, indicating the overall sentiment expressed as positive, negative, or neutral. So we'll find out whether the review is positive, negative, or neutral. And finally, evaluation. So performance of the sentiment analysis system is evaluated and validated using various metrics. Like you can use accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score, okay, or by comparing the predictions with human labeled ground truth data. So using this, we can evaluate the overall performance. So here we have different types of sentiment analysis, that is emotion detection, fine-grained sentiment analysis, aspect-based sentiment analysis, intent-based sentiment analysis. So in the first case, emotion detection, so rather than detecting positive and negative emotions, emotion detection, it mainly specifies or it mainly detects specific emotions. So whether here emotion can be happy, happiness, frustration, or shock, anger, etc. Okay, so what is emotion detection? Emotion detection, it recognizes emotions through words in a given text. So here words can be either happiness, frustration, shock, anger, fear. It can be anything. So there are several ways to detect emotion in text. So most common is identifying keywords and assigning them emotions based on lexicon. That is a list of words and their associated feelings. Next one is aspect-based sentiment analysis. This is a text analysis technique which categorizes the text data based on its aspects. So how it will categorize the text based on aspects, and it identifies its sentiment. So if you take the first sentence here, aspect is pancake, right? So we are telling that pancakes were delicious. So here aspect is pancake, or we can take the source and entity as a pancake, and target entity. Target entity is delicious. So if you take the relationship type, so we need to find out the sentiment. So sentiment between these two words is obviously this is a positive sentiment. And if you take the second part of the sentence, here the source entity or aspect expression of location, it is service, and target entity is slow. So relationship between these two is again it's a sentiment, and the sentiment is negative sentiment. Simply we can say that aspect based sentiment analysis, it is a process of recognizing predetermined aspects and their associated sentiments in the data set. So here predefined or predetermined aspect is pancake, and the sentiment associated with that is delicious. So these aspects, they actually vary from organization to organization. And this aspect based sentiment analysis is commonly used in products and service reviews to determine which feature customers liked or disliked most. Then organizations, they can use them on specific areas of their product and services that require improvement. In the same way, we can take one more example. So here you can take in the first part of the sentence, mountain is a aspect of expression, and here sentiment attached with that is good. So we are getting, here we are recognizing predetermined aspects as well as their associated sentiment in the data set. So here sentiment is positive. And here aspect in the second part of the sentence is food, and the sentiment attached with that is bad. So that is a negative sentiment. And third one is fine-grained sentiment analysis. So this sentiment analysis, mainly helps in the development of polarity precision. Next one is fine-grained sentiment analysis. It breaks down the sentiments into various parts. And then it extracts the sentiment from those individual parts. So here you can see in this diagram, sentiment is broken down into, it was broken down into multiple parts, and then we are extracting sentiment from individual parts. So sentiment is then categorized into one of the 5 polarity categories. So these are various categories, that is strongly negative, negative, neutral, positive, and strongly positive. Polarity precision in an instrumental in polarity sentiment is instrumental in interpreting customer feedback rating scales. So if you take on an 1 to 5 star rating scale, 1 would always be, obviously it is very negative or strongly negative, and here we can give 2 for negative, 3 for neutral, 4 for positive, and 5 for strongly positive. Okay, so this we usually so this type of scaling We can observe in online shopping sites also. That is the best example where when we purchase any product, we usually give review. So if you are interested or if you like the product, then you'll give 5-star rating for that, right? So if you dislike the product, then you can give the 1-star rating. So based on the emotion of a individual, that particular rating will be provided to the product. And the fourth one is intent detection. Rather than identifying sentiment, intent analysis, it always examines the given text for intention. So in order to understand user intention and then classify them into predetermined tags. So if you take an example, intent classifiers for social media messages. So if you take social media messages, so they can be separated into suggestion, query, complaint, or feedback. So more appropriate tags for analyzing customer feedback include interested, disinterested, subscribe, and unsubscribe. So here, if you take social media messages, their understanding intention of the user is very important. So based on the review or based on the message, machine should understand whether the user is giving any suggestion to improve some features of their product, or whether he's asking for a query, or whether he's complaining about those features in the product which he purchased, or whether he is giving feedback. So this intent analysis, it will examine all these things and classifies them into predetermined tags.